Did you ever wonder what became of the women who loved fallen angels more than they loved God's laws? Prepare yourself, because this isn't a story. It's a cosmic tragedy, a story of forbidden love, broken vows, and a punishment so chilling it resonates through legend even today. It began when angels, God's faithful watchers, gazed down from heaven and saw something they weren't supposed to covet. Human women. Not celestial, not divine, just stunning in a rough, terrestrial way that moved the heavens. These angels were constructed to obey. Their radiance was there for worship, obedience, and order of the cosmos. But as soon as they saw these women, things changed. Curiosity became longing. Longing became obsession. Down on earth, things were normal. Women laughed, worked, lived. But deep inside themselves, they started to feel a presence. Something strong. Watching. Waiting. The atmosphere shifted. It was charged with expectation, like the instant before a thunderstorm rips the sky apart. And then they came. The angels fell, leaving heaven for love they were not supposed to know. They married human women and gave birth to children, giants, the Nephilim, creatures too powerful, too unnatural for the world to hold. Their presence shattered the balance between heaven and earth. God was displeased. A mighty flood was released to purify the earth of this ungodly union. The Nephilim were destroyed. Chaos was muted, but it doesn't end there. Enter Michael, the Archangel, commander of heaven. He descended not only to reestablish order, but to bring judgment, and his fury rained not only upon the angels, but upon the women who had loved them. Their penalty was harsh and everlasting. Their souls, which were once full of warmth and awe, became twisted into something else. Sirens, forever wandering, tempting, grieving. Neither angel nor man, they became the caution in every mariner's story and the grief in every tempestuous ocean. All because one look became a love that went against the divine. So the next time you listen to the moan of the wind across the sea or sense the air grow heavy with unseen power, recall their tale. The biggest case of love at first sight gone awry, resounding through eternity. Some rules were never meant to be broken, no matter how tempting the reason. Cue music. The instant they set foot on earth, things changed. There was magic in the air, not the pleasant variety, the threatening kind. Take the most gorgeous human you ever did see. Now multiply them by 1,000. That was what these creatures were like. Fallen angels floating rather than walking, and their voices like music. Light didn't just touch them, it pirouetted around them, casting everything else in dull gray. When they appeared in towns and villages, everything stopped. People froze mid-task, unable to look away. How could they? It was like staring into the sun, painful but mesmerizing. Women who looked at them experienced something different, something more than attraction. It wasn't a crush, it was a pull, a spell, like being sucked into a dream you couldn't escape. These weren't merely breathtakingly handsome strangers. They were flawless, or at least they appeared to be. Their skin glowed like moonlight. Their eyes shone with all the stars of heaven. But when they smiled, that's when the true danger started. You've heard the old adage, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. That's precisely what it was. These weren't impossibly handsome men. These were angels who had turned their backs on heaven. And if you looked closely, the cracks began to appear. Behind their picture-perfect smiles were secrets blacker than night. Their eyes, as lovely as they were, contained an age and depth that no human soul could fathom. But resisting them was almost impossible. How do you tell someone no who radiates divine light, who understands your heart before you've said a word, who offers you everything you've ever imagined? And the longer these women were with the fallen angels, the more they started to alter. They began radiating too, just a little. Their outlooks changed. Normal life started to seem bland. Average men seemed small in comparison. The angels were doing exactly what they wanted to do. They selected the most gorgeous women, the ones that had already caught their eye from the highest places in heaven. They employed every heavenly tactic to look like the ideal lovers, weaving fairy tale romances with terror underneath. And with each of these forbidden marriages, the repercussions resounded far beyond the planet Earth. These were not just love affairs. These were cracks in the divine framework. And out of the cracks came offspring. That's where the story darkens. Allow me to acquaint you with the Nephilim, the offspring of angel fathers and human mothers. They were born like any other child, but they didn't remain small for long. They continued to grow and grow until they stood towering above everyone else, giants with the power to move mountains and the appetite to devour entire villages. When a Nephilim stepped, the earth shook. When they uttered words, their voices rumbled like thunder on hills. They inherited their father's strength and their mother's feelings, but not one bit of the wisdom to counterbalance either. Picture a tantrum-throwing toddler, but that toddler was capable of shattering cities.